15th, 2023. And today we're going to be talking about a number of things. First and foremost, probably the biggest news that hit the internet today regarding gaming is brought to you by Sega. So, Sammy Sega has acquired Rovio, the developers of many mobile games, but more famously known for Angry Birds. This deal comes kind of as a surprise. Nobody really saw Sega being a player in the game as far as acquiring such a huge name and such a huge force in mobile gaming. Uh, so, how big exactly was this deal? Well, close to $1 billion, and who knew that Sega Sammy had $1 billion, right? But apparently, the deal is for $776 million. Um, and the real thing to think about here, though, is Sega's opportunities. So when they look at Rovio, they may not be looking at them from a point of view of, hey, here we are going to make a lot of money off of Angry Birds, as has been around since the beginning of smart devices and smartphones, right? Um, Highly doubtful that they're looking at it from that point of view. More than likely, they're looking at Rovio and their space in mobile gaming and their knowledge of the mobile sector, and they're probably taking a look at their properties, right? So you have tons of Sega properties that can now expand into a mobile market. And who better to head that front and use Sega's properties and bring them to mobile when Sega really doesn't have that much of an experience in the mobile market. Sure, they have mobile games out there and light versions of their console counterparts, but here we have Rovio, who is the exact opposite, right? So they pretty much are exclusively on mobile and have dabbled on consoles with versions of their mobile games ported up to varying degrees of success. But when it comes to that mobile space, there's no doubt about it. Rovio is huge in that space, and I think that Sega really is. It's a pretty interesting move. I don't think anybody saw coming. It kind of just snuck under the radar. All this talk of Microsoft's acquisitions of Activision, Blizzard, and Nintendo on the other end, suing everybody in court and winning over these pirating companies that recently happened, and you know, here we have Sega just kind of sneakily under the radar, gobbling up Rovio, which is interesting, and it's an acquired. They're acquiring them outright. It looks like, so it's not just like a merger of some sort. It's basically Sega going to use them as a developer and hopefully using their space and operations in the mobile market to become bigger than what they have been. And this is their chance. I mean, Sega had a hit on their hands with the Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 movies, and then as we all know, Sonic Frontiers came out to pretty successful sales figures. And this is an opportunity for them to maybe tap into other markets or other franchises that maybe they haven't really gone into. This is a perfect chance to bring back their puzzle games and Sega Swirl and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is just Puyo Puyo. But still, you could bring all those games and have, a good developer like Rovio really put their spin and their take on these franchises that kind of had just gone away. Maybe a good version of Columns from the Genesis, back in the day. So, yeah, that was a big news that we got today from Sega. On the Nintendo Switch, and they announced a free trial version of Star Wars Republic Commando for the Nintendo Switch, and you can go ahead and try that game out from April 20th through April the 26th. The game is also going to be 50% off during that time period. This is one of those games that was around for a while. It's a first person shooter, uh, you know, but it's finally got it made it over as a remaster onto the Xbox One and PS4, and the Switch gets its version or got its version, and then now you if you haven't really picked up that game before, it's actually a pretty decent game. If you've never played it, this is your chance to pick it up. It's not a very big download for the Switch, so you can go ahead and try it out for at least a week and see if you like it. And it's got all the bells and whistles, and it'll play just fine on your Switch, and you can take it with you and play it portably. And hell, if you like it, the idea is if you like it, you can pick it up before that sale ends for half off. I think that is a pretty sweet deal. Um, and then a big news comes in the way from Microsoft and uh, one of its lead developers, Joseph Slater, has left Microsoft. This man has been developing for them since the early days of Halo. He was a former Bungie dev, and when Bungie left, he stayed behind and he helmed 343 Studios and did what they could with the Halo franchise. And I mean, he's been spearheading, their games for a long time. He was a key player, a key puzzle piece for them for a very long time. Well, who has acquired his services? Of all of everyone out there that could possibly be looking for a developer of this caliber, Netflix Games has stepped up to the plate and apparently picked up his talents, um, and they are, according to Joseph Slater's Twitter account, if I am not mistaken, it they are working on a triple A gaming experience with their own IP. So we have just a major player in the game moving over to Netflix Games. Netflix has made a couple of games here and there, but nothing that you can say is of huge impact. But if anyone has the budget, if anyone has the muscle to certainly step into gaming out of nowhere and has a subscription base as big as Netflix does, yeah, they would probably be the ones to get into the game development side of things, and then carve their own niche and maybe actually come out with something interesting, especially when you're getting somebody like of that caliber in development. So maybe they go ahead and they get a few more developers, or Joseph himself may swoon a few developers that he might know in the industry to come back over to Netflix Games and work on this AAA IP. This is interesting, and I'm wondering what happens next. Where does Netflix go from here? Where do other developers, or what does Microsoft look at their team now and go, what's next for Halo? Do they stay the course and continue pushing Halo and the way it has been? In my opinion, Halo has kind of run its course, and I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat or whatever for saying that, but in my opinion, Halo has not introduced anything that has been groundbreaking for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 games. It's kind of got its fan base, its hardcore fan base. They're not going anywhere, so you got your dedicated fans. But I think that for the majority, the popularity has declined over the years. It's still one of their big players. Don't get me wrong, and it still sells great. But you just don't hear people talking about Halo the way they used to, and I actually miss those days. Halo was one of my all-time favorites. Had so many great moments in that game, and watching my friends steal nukes uh, in Call of Duty and back in the 360 days, and so when you had the early Call of Duties and the early Halos, and those days are behind us. So I'm very interested to see what Netflix does with Joseph Slater's talents, and what comes next. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Sega is out of their minds in purchasing Rovio? Do you think that what I said is true? Maybe they're just using them for the mobile space. Are you planning on picking up Star Wars Republic Commandos for the Switch, or at least downloading it? And finally, what do you think about Joseph Slater abandoning Microsoft and headed over to Netflix Games? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. It helps a lot. We are a growing channel, and so every little bit counts. Leave a comment if you like this video, and if you don't like it, leave a comment. That'll help us improve as well. As always, you can follow me live and you can interact during these streams on twitch.tv/starflagmedia and here on YouTube at youtube.com/@starflagmedia. Thanks for coming.